Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to what is the last session of the day. In this session, I'd like to talk briefly about how UK trade and investment can support your business and the activities that UKTI are involved in and the way in which we engage with you as British businesses. So first of all, let me give you an idea of who I am and what I do. My name is Duncan Hamshere. I'm an international trade advisor with the London International Trade Team, and I specialise in the area of education and training. So that means if you're based within the M25 area roughly, I'm here to support you if you're involved with the education and training business. I'll explain over the course of about the next 10 or 12 minutes how I can be engaged with you, how you can contact me, and the different ways in which we can support you to reach overseas markets. So let's first of all look at what we do as UKTI. So here you can see, if you like, our top line description of what we do. But let's boil it down to really what we do to support you on a day-to-day basis. Our mission is twofold. On the one hand, support British businesses, small and medium-sized companies, and also medium-sized businesses to reach overseas markets. And on the other hand, which is not my division, but there are representatives of those divisions here today, to support inward investment into the UK from overseas companies and governments. We do this in a number of ways, which I'm going to describe to you. But first of all, let me give you an idea of why work with UKTI. What is it that we bring that you couldn't find, let's say, on your own or through private enterprises or just through internet searches? So what is the plus of working with us? Really, when working with UKTI and you're a local advisor, be it myself or an individual such as me in the different regions, it's you're working through us to reach our global presence. So our posts, who you can see over here today, many of whom you have met today, work with local engaged partners, with businesses, to identify opportunities for you. And you can access those opportunities through our website. Details of that come later. But they also pass on those business opportunities to us, and with the customers that we've engaged on a regional basis, we help you to reach those markets. As you can see, we have over 1,200 staff in over 100 overseas markets, and around 400 people working across the UK. So there is a considerable number of dedicated staff there to support UK business in international markets. We work on a regional basis. As I said, I'm the London trade advisor. Whichever region of the UK you come from, there is a regional advisor there to support you in your given area of business. The way in which you reach that advisor is through our website, and there, by putting in your postcode into our website, you can find the contact details of your local regional team. Generally, we will contact you back within 48 hours of you contacting us. So it's a relatively quick and easy way to obtain advice on export and support. Who are we to support you? Well, almost all of us, and certainly in my case, were recruited from the sector that we work with. So in my case, I've been working in the education sector for over 20 years, and that's very similar to my colleagues working in the different sectors that we work with, be it oil and gas, be it electronics, be it IT, etc. So in many cases, we've been sat where you are. We've gone through what you're going through, and our aim is to support you, not just using our knowledge and experience, but using the knowledge and experience of all the people within our organisation. As I said, by working with us, you're working with the global group that is UKTI. Now, just to give you an impression, you've probably heard this already today, but the market that we're working in terms of education, it's estimated that the global market is worth around 3 trillion, and this is set to increase. Our education exports alone are worth at least 17.5 billion. Now, these figures are somewhat, you can discuss them, but because there is a halo effect that goes round education export, but it's worth at least 17.5 billion in the latest estimate to the UK economy. Over the last between 2008 and 2011, our exports increased by 3 billion. And it's our aim to continue with this increase in educational export. And this is a specific government aim, as you may have heard in this morning's speech, by the English Education UK unit, which was set up last year specifically to support educational export, with a particular focus on what we call high value opportunities, large multi-million pound contracts. That said, my role very much is not just to help with the multi-million pound contracts, but to help small and medium-sized businesses. So we aim very much to support all types of export, be it small, be it large, from the United Kingdom. Our aim is to increase by 3 billion by 2020 the amount of UK exports. So as you can see, we feel there is a very strong market there. There are a considerable number of opportunities out there, whether you're involved with educational technology, whether you're involved with student recruitment, student movement, or providing education either through distance or domestically. All estimates point to an increase in the global trade in education and an increase in the number of students moving from country to country. Where they move to and how the education is provided to them is the strategic questions that we hope to help you support you with when you're looking at those international markets. So, getting to the nub of what we actually do to support you in the field. So first of all, there is the Trade Show Access Programme. Some of you today may have taken advantage of this. This is a programme designed to provide financial support for attending trade shows overseas. There are two different types of support, depending on whether it is a trade show supported by UKTI or whether it is a trade show that is outside of our organisation's support. There are also now opportunities to provide for trade show access here in the UK as well. This funding is aimed at supporting your attendance at a fair, so it covers the cost of stands and cost of shipping and material rather than hotel or flights. But given the cost of many specialist trade shows nowadays, this is a significant contribution towards that budget. Perhaps our best known service, and one used by many of the people at this fair today, is the Overseas Market Introduction Service. What this essentially refers to is using the posts, the people sat over there, our consulates and embassies, to provide you with support in country. This could be in a range of ways. This could be simply commissioning some research, identifying partners, identifying potential clients, identifying agents or distributors, or it could be something a little bit more involved, looking at the market. You're also able to use our posts and embassies overseas to contact or as an intermediary for initial contacts with potential clients, agents, distributors, etc. in overseas markets, and meet them in the embassy, or use the embassy for an event. So this is a service which attempts to be adapted to your individual needs, and the role of your local trade advisor, such as myself, is to account manage that and support you in putting together a very strong brief to advise the local consulate or embassy, and also helping you through the process. The aim of this service is to get you into the market, as the name suggests. This is a chargeable but subsidised service. That means you'll receive a quote for the amount of work according to the brief that you put forward. Naturally, we can revise and change, and there is the ability to discuss that brief directly through our online system with our overseas posts. Naturally, your local trade advisor will also help to orientate better the content of your brief so that you get the maximum return for the effort you're putting in. I mentioned before at the beginning the business opportunities. Again, this is a service which comes through our embassies and consulates, and through the medium of either your international trade advisor or through our website, you can access these business opportunities. The best way to do this is to sign up on the website for your sector or for the countries you're interested in, and have them sent to you as they come through. You can also sign up here for events and trade missions at the same time. So it's a very good source of leads for countries you may be interested in. In addition to the services we have a number of schemes. The best known is Passport to Export. And what Passport to Export is working with your trade advisor through an action plan to gain entry to market or markets. Now, together with the action plan that you draw up together with him, there are a number of supporting elements. Firstly, there is some training, a day's seminar, an introductory course on the skills and information required for export. That's followed up by drawing up an action plan and a review with your trade advisor, and then according to the action points you put together, there is some funding, some matched funding to support your market entry. Currently that matched funding stands at £3,000, so if you spend 6, there is 3,000 return on that investment, provided it's in accordance with the action plan you've agreed with your international trade advisor. So typically that could be used for a market visit, for funding some linguistic changes to marketing material potentially, or for looking at accessing a given market, the travel costs, etc. So that funding is not a huge amount, but the idea is there to minimize the risk of initially setting up in a new market. This is a 12-month program, and I would stress that the key element to it is that working relationship with your trade advisor and working through your trade advisor to reach the different markets and use the consulates in those different countries. Following on from the Passport to Export is a secondary scheme called Gateway, and this is a continuation with further training and further financial support for your activities either in a new market or in a range of new markets. The tendency is to go from a very practical, hands-on approach with the passport to a more strategic relationship with the Gateway as your company progresses. In addition to those two schemes that I mentioned, there are a couple of services which are used considerably by businesses. The first is Export Marketing Research Scheme. And this scheme is if you like, presents you with a framework for market research in a given market. And working together with a specialist market research consultant, you will begin to put in place a set of framework and following guidance for researching an individual market. So it's not a question of us doing the market research for you, more us taking you through the process. One of the strengths of this scheme is it develops a model for market research which can be used in other markets over and over again. So in addition to the immediate benefits, there is a longer term benefit in terms of the way in which it structures your thinking of market research. There is funding also attached to this scheme, and that funding can support market research visits and also potentially the purchase of market research reports that have already been produced by other people. And finally is the Export Communications Review. Again, this is a subsidized service using external consultants where we review an element of your international communication. Typically, that's, in the first instance, that is the website. And the way it's done is it's reviewed by the consultant, and then the feedback comes to you in the format of a seminar where you're able to discuss and look at the way in which your piece of marketing is successful in the markets you're choosing to go to. So, for example, how effective is your SEO in a given market? It might be you have a high page ranking in the UK, but are you so successful in Thailand? That type of question is one that they will look at, and that comes with a set of recommendations. Again, there is the potentiality for support, funding support, for implementing those recommendations in terms of your communication review. The ECR, the Export Communications Review, focuses on an element of your marketing review. So your website will be one, and then you could do another one later on for your paper collateral in a given market. Each one is subsidized as well. So the first three come at a subsidized price, which you can refer to your local ITA for your local prices on that one. So as you can see from what we have here, there is a range of schemes and services that aim to help you to reach the market, to take away some of the risk and concerns you have, and advise you. And it may well be, and it's often the case, that we will come to a conclusion that a market is not right for you, or that a market requires more maturity. So we're not aiming to push you into international export, but help you through that process, through a process of counselling, mentoring, advice, support, and some limited funding. Now, this may or may not be appropriate. This is a sister government department, UK Export Finance. And it's worthwhile mentioning here because one of the concerns with some of the larger contracts that you may be negotiating overseas is what happens to your cash flow, what happens to your business if there is delay or non-payment. And one of the ways of mitigating that risk is to discuss this with UK Export Finance, so they can provide advice and support in ensuring UK exporters against non-payment or delayed payment by overseas buyers. They can look at how payments can be guaranteed both by domestic and international banks. And they can also consider some of the risks in sharing credits and looking at contract bonds within individual markets. There is a UK Export Finance advisor in every region of the country, and so by talking to your local trade advisor, they will be able to put you in touch with your local export finance advisor to look in detail at how that risk can be mitigated. Some of that risk may be supported by government support, or they may be able to advise which financial entity is most appropriate to approach for support in a given area.